You know that feeling, like you're kind of playing a part, where you're showing the world one face, but you're hiding a totally different one on the inside? It's something we all do. And today, we're going to get into exactly why we do it, and, more importantly, the hope of what could be if we stopped.
Just imagine that feeling for a second. No script, no performance, just you, the air on your face, and the sense of being completely, vulnerably alive. And look, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea. This is what real, authentic life feels like. It's that place we're all trying to get to, right? The place where we can finally put the masks down.
So that's the big question, isn't it? If this kind of freedom is actually out there, and it's possible for us to have it, why on earth do we keep reaching for those same old, suffocating masks? It's a real puzzle, and it gets right to the heart of what we all struggle with.
Okay, so to figure that out, we've got to go back. Way back. Not just in our own stories, but to the very beginning of hiding itself. Because if we can understand why we started hiding in the first place, that's the first real step to finding the freedom to stop. Think about the story of Adam in the garden. When God calls out his name, Adam's answer gives us the exact blueprint for every single mask we've ever worn. First, he was afraid. And why was he afraid? Because he felt naked, totally exposed, totally vulnerable. And his solution? He hid. Afraid, naked, hidden. It's this three-step cycle that we've been repeating ever since.
So what's the real feeling that pushes us into hiding? Well, it's not just guilt. Guilt is actually pretty straightforward. It's about something we did, and it usually points us toward a solution, like forgiveness. But shame is a whole different animal. Shame doesn't whisper that you did something wrong. It whispers that something is wrong with you. It's this deep-down belief that we're unworthy, that we're fundamentally flawed, and that our only option is to cover it all up.
And that deep-seated shame, it's the fuel for all our mask wearing. We're trying to prove we're worth something. We're terrified that if anyone saw the real, unfiltered version of us, they would just leave. We want to look amazing, capable, like we have it all together, and it all comes from that one core lie that shame tells us. You have to hide who you really are.
Now, these reasons for hiding, they don't just stay as feelings. They actually take on very specific shapes in our lives. So let's look at 3 super common masks that, well, you'll probably recognize, either in someone you know or, if we're being really honest, in the mirror.
First up, we have the just fine mask. Oh, you know this one. You ask them how they are, and it's always fine. Everything's great. On the surface, it's all perfect. But underneath that smile, there's a world of hurt, exhaustion, and this profound loneliness. The person wearing this mask feels totally unknown, even by their own family, because they're absolutely convinced that showing their real struggles would just ruin everything.
Then there's the new technique mask. This person knows things are not fine. They're always on the hunt for the next book, the next seminar, the next 7-step plan that's going to finally fix them. But inside, they're getting pretty cynical, and they live with this constant fear that other people are starting to see the cracks in their performance. So they keep up the act, even giving out advice to others that, ironically, isn't even working for them.
And finally, we have the pedigreed mask. These are the together people. They seem to have it all figured out, they're successful, confident, and they kind of look at vulnerability as a weakness for other people. But here's the thing. This mask is especially dangerous because the person wearing it often has no idea it's even there. Their own success and competence make it incredibly difficult to admit they might need any help at all. So we see why we hide, and we see the kinds of masks we hide behind. But here's the crucial part. The masks themselves, whether they're made of big smiles or impressive resumes, they aren't actually the problem. They're just a symptom of something much, much deeper.
Think about it like this. Trying to fix the mask is like trying to cure a serious illness by just treating the fever. You're completely missing the point. The mask is just the outward sign, the fever, that's telling you there's a major infection raging deep inside. To get truly healthy, we have to go after the root cause.
So, what is that infection? Let's trace the chain reaction. It all starts when sin happens. We either do something wrong or someone does something wrong to us. Now, our natural, God-given response to that is guilt or hurt. It's like a warning light on your dashboard. But instead of paying attention to it, what do? We suppress it. We push it down. We hide it. But that hidden stuff doesn't go away. It just festers and it turns into blame and fear, which then explodes into all these other damaging behaviors. And the fallout from this is just devastating. We become super judgmental of the exact same flaws in other people that we're hiding in ourselves. We lose all perspective when conflict arises. Hiding one thing makes us vulnerable to doing even worse things. And maybe the most tragic consequence of all, it makes us completely unable to truly love other people, or, just as important, to let ourselves be truly loved.
And that brings us to the ultimate cost of living this two-faced life. And believe me, it is a heavy, heavy price. But, strangely enough, understanding the cost is what points us toward the cure.
Just let that sink in for a second. When you wear a mask, you might get admiration, you might get applause, you might get respect, but you can never, ever, ever receive love. Why? Because the real you is hidden. The part of you that is desperate to be known and accepted is starving to death, while this fake version of you gets all the attention. It is an absolutely heartbreaking price to pay.
But here's the turn. Here's where the hope comes in. Those masks that we work so incredibly hard to keep in perfect shape, they're not going to last. They can't. They're man-made, which means they are guaranteed to fail. They will crack, they will buckle, and eventually they will fall apart. And you know what? That is not the tragedy we think it is.
In fact, the mask breaking isn't a failure, it's a rescue mission. It is a profound act of love. Just think about it. If our masks never cracked, we'd spend our entire lives cut off from real connection, real love, real freedom. So the cracking isn't a disaster, it's an invitation. It's a chance to finally step out from behind the wall and into something real.
And that leaves us with this one last, powerful question. What if? What if a place like that actually exists? A community so safe that you could reveal the absolute worst parts of yourself, and in doing so, discover that you wouldn't be loved less, but you'd actually be loved more. What would it be like to live in that kind of freedom? Well, that's the hope.